Okay, folks, as you can see, it's actually 2:01 now. We're a minute late, so let's get started so we can get finished. You'll notice that we're recording, so if you're wanted by the FBI or other international crime agencies, you might want to turn your camera off and mute yourself. Don't forget, 1 week from today, a little earlier, we'll be at the picnic. So we hope to see you there. If you need maps, there's a map link on the Division 8 webpage, as well as the fact that we send everybody a map when we acknowledge your reservation. If you didn't get that and need it, watch for another link in the information update coming out Wednesday. And speaking of the picnic and the contest awards for this last contest year, don't forget to be working on your August contest entry. Mow vehicles. And with that said, we have two presenters today. We have Mr. Chris Broughton and Mr. Stan White. So Chris is going to go first. So Chris, if you want to go ahead and share your screen and we'll get started.
All righty.
Remember to, you other folks, please remember to mute yourself during Chris's presentation unless you have a question.
Okay. Can everyone see that okay?
You look good, Chris.
All right. So what I've done, or what I'm presenting today, is an in-scale Atlas RS3 that I managed to install sound in, and pretty loud sound at that. It's in the specific model here, it's obviously not a stock RS3. It's an RS3M that Penn Central had built several of late in the Penn Central era. There were some different variations of them, but the main thing was it was a rebuilt RS3, and they used prime movers from scrapped E8s. So it has a General Motors prime mover in it. That's why you see the hump on the long hood. That's to accommodate the exhaust manifolds. And they also use some 36-inch fans off the E8s and made other modifications. So that's what I've modeled here. And I wanted to, when I built it, I never dreamed of putting sound in. I thought, okay, I'll fit a decoder in here and that'll be it. And then ESU came out with their this year, their Locksound Nano, and it's a tiny little decoder, and it has all the punch of their standard offerings in terms of sound and sound quality and volume. And it's small enough that it's like, you know, I might be able to get sound in this thing. So I've started making the let's see, here we go. Started making plans to do this, and this is a stock Atlas mechanism. I put the ruler there just for some perspective. So the thing's only about 3.5 inches long. So to give you an idea of the size I'm working with, and it explains the title of the presentation, 10 gallons of decoder in a 5-gallon locomotive. The thing that makes this a more challenging install is because, as you know, an RS3 has a lower long hood, unlike a General Motors, a Jeep or something like that, with a cab height hood for the whole length of it. So that created some extra constraints on space, and obviously this was a DC only chassis, so it wasn't one set up to accommodate a decoder easily, and obviously I needed to do some frame milling to make everything fit. And here are the components I used. So this is the Locksound Nano, shown in the middle photo, and again, ruler there for some scale. And if you're interested in this, using this decoder yourself, the part number is in the upper left corner. They come without a sound file loaded. So either the vendor you get it from will need to load it for you, or you'll need access to a Locksound programmer, which I have. So if you do if you do buy one and you need a sound file loaded, I'm happy to do that for you. And then on the right side of the screen, we have the speaker. It's a sugar cube speaker. So the enclosure is there on the left side of the photo. The speaker itself is in the plastic packaging, clear plastic packaging. And it's a 12 millimeter by 8 millimeter speaker. So it's really small. There's a couple of micro LEDs there that I use for the front and rear headlights. Those are commonly called 402 LEDs. They measure 40 thousandths by 20 thousandths in diameter. They're warm white LEDs. They put out plenty of light, so don't let their size fool you. And then the other little black monolith there on the right is a 330 microfarad capacitor, and that helps keep the amplifier powered, however briefly, if you encounter dirty track or any sort of disruption in power. It'll help the locomotive get over the hump without reinitializing the sound and stalling and that kind of thing. So as if this thing wasn't small enough, and given the space I was working with, I needed every little millimeter I could come up with. So it's a 6-function decoder. I only needed the 2 light functions, front and rear. So that was 4 wires I could eliminate from the decoder and create a little more space. So I removed the shrink wrap, desoldered the extra function wires, and then also there's a ground pad that's needed for connecting the capacitor. So I added a wire there and basically laid everything out flat again, so there's no wires overlapping, so it keeps it as thin as possible, and then wrapped it with Kapton tape. And apparently that doesn't do anything with the warranty either, because I had an issue. One of the decoders, a component actually fell off the board. I guess it was just not soldered properly, and I sent just the decoder part back and not the wire board, and they replaced it without question. So that's nice. I didn't have any photos of just the milled frame, so you get to see the milled frame after install. But what you're looking at, you can see at each end, I had to mill the frame down flush with the little bearing retainers. Can you all see my mouse pointer by chance?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. I'll use it to point. So right here is like a little retainer, bearing retainer. And so the frame is basically flush on both sides with that all the way down. And I can actually drop down a little bit here, but that created some space for the capacitors here. You can see the little LED, or at least the red and black wires for it. So the rear LED is there. The speaker and enclosure are here. I had to really trim down the size or the depth of the enclosure just to get everything to fit. It didn't appear to compromise the sound at all. It's still loud and clear, which surprised me. I was concerned about cutting it down that much to make it fit, but it worked. And as far as milling the frame, I have a bandsaw with a metal cutting blade in my garage, and that makes it pretty easy. And then the other tool I use is a Dremel with a cutting bit in a Dremel router table. So I use that, and I actually routed a channel across the top of the frame, and that gives a little channel for the wires to rest in and makes enough room for resistors and that type of thing. So that way the top of the frame is still the highest point on the chassis. There's no wires resting on top. They sit down in their own channel. And down here's the decoder itself. And again, everything's milled right down to the bearing blocks. That's as low as I can go without getting into the mechanicals of the locomotive. And again, that little nub right there is the LED on the front of the locomotive. And here's a couple of closer up shots. So again, there's the decoder, there's the speaker, and there's the capacitor. And proof's in the pudding. So let's see here. I've got to bring up the video. So I thought I was testing my sanity with that one. So as I say, you thought that was crazy, hold my beer. I built a second RS3M. This is a kind of a one-off that Penn Central did. It was a chop nose RS3M. So it actually has a more of a standard cab with front-facing windshield and that kind of thing. Everything is the same on this install, except obviously there's no room for a speaker under the short hood. So I managed to fit it inside the cab. I had to mill a little bit more of the frame right here, just below where the speaker sits to make sure there was clearance there. And I put Kapton tape to make sure nothing shorted. But it still has actually a little bit larger enclosure than what the first one had because of the extra space the cab afforded. But everything else is the same. Routed the channel across the top of the locomotive, milled both ends, and was able to squeeze sound in that guy too. That's the one I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do, but but that's the presentation.
Okay, as Fred pointed out, he'll include links to the two videos in his Monday morning video series. So we can all enjoy the sound. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is a curious function of Zoom. All right, Chris, thank you so much.
You bet. Thanks for letting me present.
Appreciate it. And Mr. Stan White, get yourself online, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Just wanted to kind of, when I went to the Indy 2022 convention, sat through some of the clinics, there was a pretty interesting presentation that was made by Michael Groves, and he's started a company called Dwarvin, and they make fiber optic lighting systems. And so listening to his presentation, a couple of interesting products, and I just thought I'd share those with you. I picked up two of them while I was there just to try them, and I thought I'd go through those two products today. And it's just another way to light up your layout. And so let me get started here. The first is what he calls the integrated lamplighter DFL kit, and this is it's called a dedicated fiber unit. It's for warning gates or warning signals on the crossings, and on my layout, all my lighting is all woodland scenic or Walthers, and I had on my layout before I'd purchased. Come on now, well, you're not going to change here for me. There we go. I'd purchased from I think this for Smart Signals by Z Stuff years ago, and put signals in, and you can see them on my layout here. Let me get my pointer up here. What I didn't like about these were they come with the IR sensor. It comes in this big plastic box, and it sits up above the layout, which really didn't look too prototypical. So when I saw the lamplighter system, I thought I'd give that a try. So I took these out, and then this is what they look like. They're kind of bulky. The IR sensor goes down below the layout, and it comes up into your pillbox here with the IR sensor. I guess when I was taking them out, I said, well, you guess you could pull. I went in there and started messing around. You could actually pull these out, I guess, and then take the wiring off, unsolder it, and use these. But anyhow, I was looking at something to get rid of it on my layout. So I thought I'd try the lamplighter system. And when you order a lamplighter system, it comes in, comes with the 2 detectors. That comes with an IR sensor that goes above the rail, and they also make one that goes in between the rails. I chose not to put the one in between the rails because sometimes, my layout's pretty much finished. So I bought the ones with the IR sensor above. Comes with a crossing bell, which the Z stuff does not have a bell with it. So this comes with the bell. Comes with the lamplighter DFL system, and then it comes with 2 crossing gates or crossing signals. Man, I think the retail price is about $129.95, something like that, which is pretty comparable if you bought another system. So I think the price is right in there with any other electrical warning system for your layout. And if we look at the IR sensor, it's a lot smaller than what was on the Z stuff. You can see it here. It has the wire has a plug at the bottom that plugs right into the bottom of the sensor. That comes with a pill box in there, and you can get 2 sizes. This one, the ones I got were 3/16, and you can get or 13/16, and you can get a 1/2 inch. Probably in retrospect, I'd probably get the shorter one, but anyway, this is the one I got, and very easy to install. You've got your sensors that go out on either side, and it only covers 1 track, so it won't cover 2 tracks. And I'll show you later on. You can add another 2 sensors to this, so that you could actually have it cover a double track as well. And you just need to drill. What I did was I drilled a 1/4 inch hole in the layout. Stick this down in there. They come with clips to go on them. I didn't use the clips. What I ended up doing was basically I put paper towels down in there, and then put some white glue down in there just to glue them in, and they're doing fine. And then just slide the pillbox over top of it. And then for your signals, about an 1/8 inch hole for the signals, slide those wires down, or the fiber optics down through the holes. Looking at under the layout, like I say, it's very simple. You've got 2 units. You've got the lamplighter system and then the bell system. They're very lightweight, so I attached them with Velcro underneath the layout. So if you want to do any adjustment or changes, you can just pop it off the Velcro and pull it down where you don't have to get totally under the layout to mess with it. And taking a close look at the system, what you've got from the sensors, the IR sensors, you've got 3 wires coming in from each sensor. Red, black, and white goes into the panel here. So you can see in here, I've got an extra infrared sensor because I had a turnout off my main, so I wanted to cover that when it came in on a different track. So I've got 3 IR sensors in here, plus the wires that go over to the bell. And you can see you have ports here. I think they call these fiber chimneys, and this is made for HO and N scale. So you've got 2 ports, 2 chimneys in here. You got 2 of the IR sensors come in from the 2 crossing signals in each one, and that's what sends the light up to the signals to flash. And then this is not a very good picture, but here's the bell, and it's got a volume pot here that you can adjust. And there's your 3 wires that come in. It's a plug-in, so you don't have to do any soldering or anything. It's like I say, it's a very simple, easy install system. And then on my layout, here's that pill box, and you can see I've got a scale man standing next to here, so you can see this is probably a little taller than prototypical. If I got the 1/2 inch, I guess I could take it off and move it all down, but I'm not probably going to do that. But this is the way it came. It's a 3D printed pillbox. And then looking at the signals installed, I think one of the downsides of these is it only has lights on one side. So in my case, I took the second one and just flipped it around because you can't see my backside here. It's up against the fascia or the backdrop here. So I just flipped it around. I don't think they're quite prototypical as far as scale size. They're a little bit larger than the others, the Z stuff and some of the other manufacturers, but it looks, I guess it looks okay. And then the next product he had there, which I thought was pretty interesting, was called the Lamplighter One system. And this is a system to light up buildings. And I was thinking about the K&I. We have some buildings that are already installed. And so this is an easy way to put lights in a building by just drilling a hole back under the layout, and sliding the fiber optics up into the buildings to light them. So thought I'd get that and just try that out. And how it comes all boxed up with the directions in there, pretty self-explanatory. It's about as simple as the crossings lights. Comes all packaged up nicely, so it ships well. You get a 6-volt wall wart with it. It just plugs right into the lamplighter system. In this particular case, I got the 1.5 inch or 1.5 millimeter fiber optics. Comes 30 feet in the package. You get the Lamplighter One system. It comes with this straw in here and instructions. It says if it's hard getting the first fiber optic in there, you'd use this to kind of spread that out so you can get the fiber optic cable in the Lamplighter One. I didn't have any problem doing that, so I never really used that. It also comes with a coupling kit. It has a metal couplers and some glue where you can actually connect these fiber optic cables together and make them run longer. Not sure in particular application I'm thinking of, I'm not sure why you need anything longer than you could cut off the 30-foot reel. They say that, and I don't think you lose if you go longer or goes as long as 30 feet, you don't lose any light intensity in there either, which is pretty cool. So I'm not sure why you'd want to join these, but anyhow, they ship them with the kit. And then I have a picture here of this is the lamplighter. And the fiber optics just slide into the end here. There's an open port here. And it slides right into the lamp back in the Lamplighter One. And just to show you the intensity of the light in here. And they also sell street lights and everything. And this is one of their modern highway lights. But I just thought I'd show the intensity of the light that comes out of this. And then I turned that was with the lights on in the room. And then I turned the lights off in the room, and you can see the intensity that comes from the ends of these fiber optics. And the cool thing is, you can cut this. You don't want to cut it with like a pair of wire cutters or anything that leaves a jagged edge on it. I cut it with a Xuron rail nipper, but you can use a utility knife. And when you do, you don't lose any light intensity out the end at all. So you don't have to really you don't have to do any sanding or anything, not necessary. What I did find was helpful, like in a building, because of it's concentrated light. If you take a cigarette lighter and mushroom the end of the fiber optics, it does diffuse the light more in the building. And I know I did that when I put some fiber optic headlights in some of the locomotives. I would take that and pull it through the hole, put a lighter to it, and you slide it back in, and it creates a lens for your headlights on the locomotive. So that's an improvement on it too. They also send you a chart on what size drills to make on them to install these. He also they have swan neck lights that are already pre-done with the fiber optics, carriage lights, globe lights, industrial building lights, highway and billboard lights. So they've got a pretty good selection, and you can go all the way up to 2 millimeter fiber. And then of course they have the crossing signal product as well. So they're just, again, a different thing. Like I'm not going to probably use any of this on my layout because I've already got it lit pretty much with Woodland Scenic and Walters, but I think it's a viable option. Something else you could do on your layout. So give you another option, like we talked earlier. Everybody has their different preferences and the way they like to do things. So this just gives you another option out there in your quiver. So any questions on the Darwin system?